The first generation games of the now world-famous Pokemon franchise are, to say the least, notoriously broken. Released by the company Game Freak on the Nintendo Game Boy, an 8-bit system with only 8 kilobytes of RAM, the game's code and memory was expected to function and be stored within a total cartridge size of approximately 10 megabytes. Because of the computational limits present with the use of a handheld device, programmers at the time had to make use of just about any optimization they could find to better the game's performance. This often meant that memory management became hyper-optimized within a cartridge to the point where just about any address present in memory had a designated specified role. Any code that could be reused would be reused, and any new piece of information was found bordering right on the edge of the last one. Now, I've talked about memory for about a minute at this point, which may lead one to believe that this is where the fatal flaw of the game lies. But that's not exactly true, though. Memory optimization is not an inherently bad thing for a game to have, or at least it's not in this case. You see, the key vulnerability which allows for an insanely fast speedrun of the game comes not from memory, but rather how Game Freak chose to optimize their save function. Game Freak split their save function into 3 separate parts. The first part saves everything but the party data. The second part saves the current box data, and the third part saves the party data and Pokédex data. Between each part of the save, a checksum is computed and written to the save RAM to signify that the save was not corrupted on load. The choice was made to split up the save function like this because some sections of the game only require a partial save of the game. Unfortunately, this split creates a vulnerability. In the case of a new game, a player's box does not have any actual data to save. Because of this fact, the second part of the save function, the one that deals solely with the box, doesn't actually do any work. Along with this, the checksum does not change either. So, if by some way the player was able to hard reset the game in the middle of the second save section, the game would recognize its current save as a complete, uncorrupted save, when it is in truth not one at all. Here's where the trick gets a little bit more complex. If the player is to input the button combo up, B, select on the title screen, they are asked if they want to clear their save data. Upon clearing this data, the player's SRAM is replaced entirely with the hex values 0xFF. In other words, every single value in the game's save file will hold the game's maximum value of 255. When using the corrupted save exploit mentioned before, the save file is only ever partially rewritten. Key to this partial rewrite is the fact that both the first and second section of the save function in no way alter the values in the SRAM representing the player's current party. So when the game is booted back up with the corrupted save, they are able to access a normally inaccessible Pokemon menu, where all values are set to the maximum value. Suddenly, the usual limit of 6 Pokemon in a party has skyrocketed to 255 Pokemon. From here, by using the menu's switch mechanic, a player is able to swap values in memory which the programmers never expected the player to get access to. Essentially, getting access to a 255 Pokemon party is like giving the player admin access to the game's memory. Since each Pokemon takes up 67 bytes of memory, any given switch could result in a massive alteration to the game's RAM, at which point the player could manipulate the game to do just about whatever they wanted. What follows is much harder to explain, but it boils down to the player needing to search for a switch that causes their desired outcome to occur. A single swap of the first and 10th Pokemon gives the player a glitched bag. From here, the player is able to scroll down until they reach what appears to be a random Master Ball. In reality, though, that Master Ball is the key to changing the warp value of the player's house to the warp value of the end of the game. Since the bag believes that there are actually 0 Master Balls present in your bag, yet another thing the devs didn't expect to see ever, the player is allowed to toss as many of them out as they want. In this case, tossing the Master Ball results in the direct subtraction to the memory location of the warp for the player's house, meaning, once again, that it can be set to whatever value that the player wants. So, all the player does is throw away 138 of them, walk out their door, and register their non-existent party into the Hall of Fame. To summarize, the reason this speedrun is possible is thanks to the presence of 2 unexpected vulnerabilities within the code of the game. One being the deletion of save data resulting in the creation of a save with max values, and the second being the interruption of the save function to give the player access to a corrupted save. This makes Pokemon Red an incredibly good case study into why checking seemingly working code for vulnerabilities is still worth development time. Anyone who plays the game according to the game's rules is unlikely to ever even know these vulnerabilities exist. But if someone is trying to crack into the memory of the software, Neither vulnerability is terribly hard to find, and when working in tandem, the user gains an immense amount of unrestricted access to areas of memory that they never should have access to in the first place. I'm going to end the video here, but to add on to the ending, here's a 2-minute video of my attempt at the speedrun. It took me about 10 minutes to learn in full, which again is further proof that this game is very easy to break. Um, but yeah, I had fun with it, and you know, enjoy watching.